No, I mean this Michael Proctor thing, this guy deserves, where are my notes? He totally deserves, I mean, public scrutiny. I mean, guys, you have the lead investigator of the murder of a Boston cop, okay? Michael Proctor. He's the lead investigator of this John O'Keefe murder. And it just so happens that his best friends, his best family buds, the Alberts, live right across the street from the victim, John O'Keefe. And not only that, but the Alberts, they watch Michael Proctor's kids. And his best buds just happens to be the brother of Brian Albert, which is the lawn that the victim, John O'Keefe, was found dead on. It's nuts, right? I mean, it makes no sense. I'm sorry. This is like it's incest, okay? I mean, I know on Pornhub, incest, it's hot and men like it, but when the cops are doing it, it's a conflict of interest. I'm sorry. And then you have Brian Higgins, the cuck in the room. He's a total cuck. If they're ever, I don't even really know what a cuck is, but he's a cuck, all right? He's just hanging around all these couples, and he goes to the bar, and then he goes back to Brian Albert's house, to say happy birthday to his son. I mean, it's a total cuck, okay? I'm sorry. And the ring cam kiss with Karen, and and then he was the first one to leave. He was the first one to leave the party. If you don't count the fact that Colin was actually technically the first one to leave, and we know Colin, he is the son of Kevin and Julie Albert, who is best buds with Michael Proctor, the lead investigator, who happens to live across the street from the dead victim. I mean, but whatever. I don't think Colin did it. I don't think Colin did it. It doesn't make sense that people would cover for him. But anyways, Brian Higgins. So back to the cuck. He was the first one to leave. We know that. He left, okay? And he doesn't go home. And let's keep in mind, guys, earlier in that day, he was in New York for a police officer funeral, and he was with Brian Albert, and they drove back from New York to Canton, Massachusetts. It's right outside of Boston, and they go to a bar, and they party at a bar, and then they decide to leave around midnight to go back to Brian Albert's house for a little after party, and then he claims he leaves there, I don't know what time, I don't know the exact time, but instead of going back home, he goes to the Canton police station and clocks in to do work. And what kind of drugs is this guy on? I mean, you're over 24 hours, dude. I mean, you have to be on serious drugs to be pulling that off. Not to mention you're drunk and you're at work. Now you're saying that you're just moving cars around? You're playing musical cars while intoxicated while you're on the clock. Okay? And then that's when all these butt dials where he supposedly, well, we know he called. They all say that they're not aware of it, so they must have been butt dials where, Brian Higgins, butt dials, Brian Albert doesn't answer, but he butt dials Brian Higgins back, and Brian Higgins picks up, and their butts have some type of conversation while Brian Albert is banging his wife, okay? So Brian Higgins is the cuck, and all this is all happening at the same time. At the same time, Jennifer McCabe is Googling how long to die in cold. And we're supposed to back the blue. Seriously, they ask us to I'm not backing the blue. Are you kidding me? Back the blue? We still don't know who killed Nicole Brown Simpson. I'm serious. I'm not, ladies, this is the pretty woman, pretty girl's OJ. Yes, it is. This is for every girl that has ever been handcuffed and thrown in the back of a police car with her titties flopping out of her dress because she got in a fight at a bar or she pissed off the wrong cop on the wrong night. It's for every girl that's had her nudes stolen from a cop from her phone and that were sent, to all of his buddies so they could sit there and talk about the girl and rate the girl like she's against fucking trading baseball cards or something. I mean, I'm sorry. And then, poor Karen Reed. She had to go to Aruba. And all girls have been through this, haven't we? I mean, where you have to go and you have to meet your boyfriends, like female friends, all their female friends, and you have to sit there and listen. And they're always younger. They were like childhood or maybe like college, depends on how old you are. But you have to sit there and listen to all the stories about all the things that they did. And they had this Christmas and that Christmas. And remember that Thanksgiving when Uncle Johnny came, the dog got out and he had that funny hat. And it just makes me want to throw up in my mouth. I'm just like, oh, hey, hon, remember that soccer mom we gave Molly to and we took her back to the house and had a play date? Remember that? Do you remember that, honey?